before she chose to live in this community. And, you know, within a year of moving there, this happened in an elementary school where her child was a student. So I do think we need to look to other countries and see what they're doing. You know, again, I will stay away from the very political issue of gun control, but I think that there are lessons we can learn about mental health, about how many other countries really treat individuals with mental health and substance abuse issues very, very differently. And I think that we have to look at the whole picture. And I think there's two issues. One is the further we move away from it, the less interest there is, certainly in terms of access to mental health and substance abuse treatment and sort of all the money that was promised to be poured into the system. And I can tell you, really isn't happening in the way that we anticipated. And we are the best funded mental health system in the nation. I have a budget of $800 million, very little block grant money. And we like it, don't get me wrong, we like it. But,
somebody else may want to.
But we have a lot of state dollars appropriated, and we have a system that was rated by NAMI as one of the top 2 systems in the country. Didn't matter. So I think we do have to step back, and we have to really look at evidence-based practices. How do they work? How do we get to youth and engage them in the system? How do we get families to, you know, help us work with their families if it's needed? But again, the issue of discrimination is so high on the list that it's often hard to do. But I do think we're really close.
Looking at other countries for a moment, I've done a little bit of that, and my research is pretty much the same, came out pretty much the same way where yours did. It was fascinating to me how there are answers that are possible in other countries that are just, at least our conclusion was, they're just not possible here. And your experience seems to confirm that. Australia prides itself on being like the Wild West, but they were able to enact gun buyback laws to reduce the number of guns on the street. Great Britain did the same thing. But what you saw from what happened in Connecticut, you just whispered that here, and you don't have a model. So it occurred to us that the reason we came to the conclusion we did was there are some solutions that are possible politically, and there are some that are just not. And we felt it was better to focus on the mental health issue rather than focusing on the gun issue, because the gun issue is so polarizing in this country. So that's what drove us to where we were. But we also agreed, too, that with the first opening remarks, there were 28 victims in Newtown, and Adam Lanza and his mom were both victims as well. So we view that having someone identified and evaluated is actually a way of getting them into treatment. It's not just saving the lives of the 20 kids and the 6 teachers. It's also saving their lives.
All right, well, thank you. Unfortunately, we're out of time, and I'd like to thank our panelists for sharing their experiences and insights, and I'd like to thank those of you in attendance for the opportunity to have an exchange. These themes are obviously very important, very delicate, but things that we need to consider as we think about privacy of health records and decisions made based on those records. So thank you once again. Thank you all.
That was really interesting.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I get your card?
Great after everybody
Yeah.
Although we are well, if you're probated, you participate in the legal system. If you're probated, but as I say in the doctor's stuff, if you come in on a 15-day emergency certificate, the way we interpret it for years, and our probate judges do as well, they are not included in this, which is a very...
It's an observational thing.
Yeah.
But,
So where are you going with the expansion of disclosure? unless you change the interest, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Curious.
We are actually